5 minutes that will save hundreds of hours of your time. In 5 minutes, you will be able to create a robot that will conduct interviews and conduct all stages of training on its own. In the last video, I showed how such a robot works. The link is in the comments. In fact, it is a Telegram bot that uses Google Sheets for evaluation and Google Forms to get information. The integration code was written by my native ChatGPT. The neural network replaces the developer. Calculation formulas, interview assessment checklists, and standard stages of the recruitment and training funnel are already sewn into the table. You don't need to write them. Not a single formula, everything has already been created. No code. For full-fledged work, it is enough to simply create a copy of the template on your Google Drive and attach the Telegram bot. A link to the template to create a copy in the description and in the pinned comment. At the start, you need to create a bot. I already told you how to create it in the last video about reporting. The link is there. I will not repeat myself here, but I will refer to this video very often, since 80% of the settings are similar. Also create your bot in BotFather, get a token and submit it via bot edit, open access to messages via group privacy, and add it as an administrator to the chat or Telegram channel. Creating a copy of the table for the robot is also similar to creating a copy of the reporting. When copying, change the region and time zone to your own. I advise you to create a new Google account for the hiring table. Unlike reporting, it is more interesting and has a greater load due to processing messages every minute. The application code has also been added, which will collect all messages sent to the bot and in chats with the bot on the log sheet. After copying the table, also move or check that the table and the attached forms to it are in the right folder. The rule also applies to the table that only yellow fields need to be edited. Red ones contain complex formulas and can only be edited if you understand formulas. The first thing to do is fill in all the yellow fields on each sheet with your information. The database sheet. Fill in the HR names and their usernames by Telegram via the symbol @ HR is an employee of the recruitment department. The dog in the text will allow you to notify the right employee. If you're the only one hiring, then only yourself. Also fill in the names of the chats and Telegram channels here, specifying their ID or address. Take the ID through any bot. I also talked about this in the video about reporting. The text sheet. This is the most important main sheet from where the Telegram bot will take the text for messages. I could connect a neural network to it that will generate phrases, but this is unnecessary. Therefore, fill it out manually. Recommendations for messages. Insert emoticons and links. Make beautiful messages. Sending files is not supported, so if you need to send a contract, then upload it to Google Drive and send it as a download link. The sheet contains stage, in which order the messages will be sent, title, so that you can distinguish, command, the name of the command for a quick transition. At any time, the applicant can write to the bot, or select it from the menu in the Telegram bot in the lower left corner to get the necessary information. Something like a button for getting information. Commands are added to BotFather. Choose your bot, edit commands. The bot will ask you to enter a list of commands for the menu. Copy directly from the table along with a short description and paste it in the suggested format. Just remove the slash symbol in each command and add a dash between the command and the description. Send the list and you will receive a convenient button. The list of commands can be attached to the text of the sent messages. The text of the message, what the bot will send to the chat or to the channel. I left the message templates, you can already use them. Just change the text to your contacts and information. The number of characters in the text is calculated automatically. Do not exceed 4,000 characters in one message, otherwise the bot will not be able to send. Status is the stage of the recruitment funnel if you use the bot as a CPM. The text of the greeting is an additional text to the test results during training. Reminder text, messages that will be sent to applicants in person by the bot. They are sent according to the schedule in an hour, a day, a week, a month, to remind you to continue the training stage or to pass an interview. Rules for the sheet. Don't touch the red commands, they are already linked to formulas. These are standard commands that cannot be changed, but change the yellow ones for yourself or add new ones. Since there is only one stage of training and you have several of them, then add more of your own. I'll tell you about it a little later. Checklist sheet. An interview form is attached to the sheet, and the robot sends a link to this form in a welcome message when launching the bot or when sending the start command. It is better not to edit or touch this sheet. the bundles with other sheets are too complicated. Don't forget to add your link to the text of the welcome message on the text sheet. Just a link not to the editor but to the interview itself via the checklist. Tools, Manage Form, Send Form. On this sheet you can change the results and the text of the answers at your discretion, replace the code with the correct one or swap the first and last names, or adjust the phone and Telegram account. The information will fall on the CRM sheet. It is better not to edit the attached form itself too much. You can only edit the picture in the header, description of sections and questions, the name of the questions. Rename the answers to the questions but do not delete them. Add sections, swap the sections, change the list of employees of the recruitment department. I do not recommend editing the types of questions, the number of answers in a question or columns in multiple lists. Adding and removing new ones is even more so. Edit only the names of employees manually. Sales test sheet. This is the same test that was created for reporting and for training on creating certifications. The message contains a playlist for our sales theory training, according to which the test was compiled, a link in the comments. Unlike reporting, this test is attached to the training stage, and the robot independently sends links and duplicates the test results in a personal account. In the reporting, the results fall into the general chat. It's better to use this one. Also add a link to the test to the text sheet. On this sheet, in the yellow fields, enter the maximum number of points per test, the name of the stage for this test, chat, where the messages with the results will fall. I usually do an additional training chat in Telegram and add a link to the chat to the description of the stage so that the candidates themselves are added there, the name of the next stage. I have a work if there is an additional test, then change to another one. I will tell you how to add a new stage with the test at the end of this video. The message sheet, a similar sheet to send as in the reporting. All columns are identical and the sending functionality is the same. Also insert your Telegram bot token. But there is one more field that needs to be filled in. The link to the application. Added additional code to collect messages from the chat. A logging bot. It works on a slightly different principle than sending to Telegram, so you need to deploy the application and get a link for it. Go to Extensions, App Script. While in the code editor, click on the Deploy, New Deployment button. And give permission even if he swears at the operation of the application itself. As a result, you will receive a link to your application, which you copy to the message sheet. Now click the Telegram button and turn on the checkboxes. Send a message. We'll send the message manually. With this method, 10% of messages are duplicated. Enable messages. When a change is made on the sending sheet, the sending script will be triggered and the message will be sent. For example, you can resend a message if you remove the message ID and the send checkmark. The trigger checks every minute on the date and time column and sends a message within a minute at the specified time. There is also protection for duplicating identical messages by checking for the presence of a message ID, but duplicates are still possible. This means that the table has not yet managed to make changes to the message sheet. Enable logs. Enable the application that will collect all messages from chats in a table. If it does not collect, then repeat the creation of the link to the application again, insert a new link and turn it on again. There were no mistakes more than 2 times. If it doesn't work out, write to me in person. If the message status is not sent and all fields are filled in, then there are 3 reasons why. The user has blocked the bot. The message is too long, more than 4,000 characters. There is some kind of symbol in the message that confuses the formula. The log sheet. Information about written messages is sent to this sheet in a personal account or in chats where the bot is present. There are quite a few formulas for checking the writing of commands in the chat and sending responses to these commands with prepared messages from the text sheet. The only thing that can be changed in the yellow field is the chat, where the message will be sent that someone wrote stop and refused to mail. I use a chat attached to a Telegram channel. On this sheet, you can change any information under the blue headings. For example, change your name or add the correct Telegram account. But if you change it, then you need to change it in all messages to the bot from this user. The scores sheet. This is the brain of interview evaluation. This sheet shows the points for correct and incorrect answers when passing the interview checklist. If the answer is positive, the score is 5, and if the answer is negative, the score is always different. A negative rating depends on the complexity of the question or the need for a skill. The more difficult the skill, the higher the negative score. I specifically set negative ratings high from 3 to 4.8, so that the final average score is not too low. A low final grade may offend the candidate, and you will receive a negative review. Also specify the minimum average score for the stage and a description if positive and if negative, which will be sent to the candidate. A grade of 5 final assessment results based on the sum of average points has been compiled. The usual manager, the average manager, a good manager, an excellent manager, the golden manager, the fake manager. Only the usual manager will be rejected, and the rest will receive an invitation to work or to the next stage of training. The rest are assigned the value approval. You can also change the names and who to give consent to. To add your points for each grade, go through an interview with the robot yourself several times and adjust the minimum score for yourself. Also replace it with your own text when you receive consent. The checklist also contains 2 cats in a bag. These are obviously false sales techniques. This is FABCA and the price multiplication technique. If the candidate replied that he knows these techniques, then this is a lie, I invented them. When answering them, the candidate will receive 0.1 points, which will lower the final grade and set the status of the fake manager, at which he will receive a refusal. This way, you will avoid dishonestly filling out the checklist. Many are inattentive or tick boxes everywhere. If you change the questions in the checklist in the form, then the changes will happen here. If you add new questions, then everything will go wrong here. You'll have to change the formulas on all the sheets. Assessment sheet. This sheet is quite complex in terms of formulas. The sheet itself calculates the average score at each stage depending on the answers, comparing it with the information on the score sheet. Never delete the first line, and in principle do not delete the lines on the sheets that already exist. Complex formulas are often sewn into the first and second lines. On this sheet, specify only which channel or chat the final results will be sent to. It is better to send to the channel, not to the chat, since everyone who has passed the interview can watch their results and the results of other candidates on the channel. This will allow the candidate to understand that he was not the only one who was interviewed. There were others with successful and unsuccessful results. It will allow someone to enjoy the result in comparison, someone to be upset but not angry at the difficult test and the company, because there are those who passed. Add the link to the channel to the description in the form itself and in the text of the message about the interview before passing it. Resume sheet. All information about the candidate will not be sent to the channel, but it should fall into the chat. All grades and answers must go somewhere. There is too much information in the table and it is not very convenient to look at, but it is quite easy to chat. Moreover, there is a search button in the Telegram chat which will allow you to quickly share. All the necessary employees can also be in the chat. I recommend adding a chat that is attached to the channel, then you will receive 2 messages at once, from the channel with ratings and direct with answers and contacts of the candidate. Also, in the yellow fields, indicate which stage of the funnel it is. I have a training program. And what is the next stage? Worth the sales test, the CRM sheet. All information on candidates is collected on this sheet. Who did it, when, and what? At what stage is he at when he started it? The sheet collects information by a unique code. The code is the serial number of the employee in the system, assigned when added to the bot. I recommend adding all employees to the bot to get the code. It is very useful for additional recertifications, mass mailings, contacts, and further training. The code is always needed, therefore it is sent immediately by the bot at startup. Every applicant or employee should remember the code. You can also recognize him by command. Why do I need a code? This is an identifier. The reason is simple. When filling out tests, questionnaires and forms, everyone fills in the full name, and they fill it out as they please. At the same time, the nickname in the Telegram and the name when filling in are almost always different. In order not to confuse the table, a system of individual codes has been introduced. Then the table will know exactly who it is, at what stage and what to send. But the table has already received the name, contacts and other information during the interview, assigned a code, and now it is enough to enter a few digits instead of the name. Believe me, this is the best way that exists. I recommend periodically checking whether the code is entered correctly during interviews and passing tests. If you enter someone else's code, the message will go to the wrong place. Also, on the CRM sheet, you can manually adjust the yellow columns of the attached HR, give consent or refusal based on the results of the interview, enter the date and link to the contract, manually enter the start date of the work. Mailing list. You can send point-to-point or mass messages in a personal telegram via a bot. I often use it for mass newsletters, since many people don't like to read chat messages. Just select to whom from the drop-down list, enter the text of the message manually, and specify the date and time of sending. Only the date and time must be greater than now. Messages are not sent retroactively. The reminders sheet. For each stage where reminders are needed in an hour, day, week, and month, you need to create a sheet or a copy of it with reminder rules. This is a technical sheet that requires a bit of manual configuration. On the sheet, simply enter the stage number in the yellow fields, the sheet from where to get the information, the range of columns from the code to the date of delivery on this sheet, the number of the column with the date. The report from the column with the code is inclusive, and similarly information from the last stage. The function of the sheet is simple. The formula will compare two dates of the previous stage and the existing one. If the specified time has come and there is no rejection of mailings, it will send a reminder. Two reminder sheets have been created for checklist and for sales test. You can add your own by creating a copy of the sheet. This is at the end of the video. The reports sheet. The same sheet as in the reporting. The sheet collects information from all the sheets to form a submission list. The same rules, the same points. You enter the names of the sheets and ranges in the yellow cells to form a list. I'll remind you, if you don't enter the information here, then the messages will not be sent anywhere. Also, if there is no information on the sheets, then there is nothing to be entered here and will not be sent either. Therefore, the minimum test filling of each sheet should be. Adding additional stages. If you need to add a regular stage and send this message, then I just recommend adding text to the message at the last stage. If you want to send a separate message, then you need to add information to the list on the report sheet for additional sending. If you need to add a test, then you need to do 10 steps. Step 1, create a Google Forms test yourself or take an existing one. Step 2, add it to the table, but rename the full name field to the code field. If you don't have the code, just add it to the bot and go through the interview checklist. Step 3, take the test yourself to fill in the information. Step 4, insert 2 empty columns, then copy and paste 2 HR and full name columns from the sales test sheet. If the formulas are lost and it shows wrong, then copy not the cell, but the formula itself for each column. Step 5, copy the extreme red and yellow columns using the same method. Step 6, add a new stage on the text sheet and the command, replace the stages on the test sheets. Do not forget about the change of the next and previous stages on these sheets. Step 7. On the text sheet, fill in the reminders in the required cells. Please note that the reminder text is filled in only in one cell. In the rest, it is set automatically. Step 8. Create a copy of any reminder sheet and enter the information. Step 9. Add the required ranges to the reports sheet. You need to add 4 lines for a new test, as in the highlighted example. Step 10. Add command to the bot if necessary. When adding a new command, you will need to delete all the old ones and create a new list of commands and paste. The disadvantage of the robot is that it is a table. She may get tired, Google may slow down the processing speed or make changes. The table normally works up to 15,000 rows per sheet. At the moment, for one candidate, you need to send from 7 to 15 messages. There are so many lines on the sending sheet and on the collecting sheet of reports, therefore it will withstand from 1,000 to 3,000 pounds. It's enough for 1 year. Then just create a copy by deleting the old logs and filled in information from the forms. But it's free and you don't have to pay for the server. The robot is completely ready. In the first video, I demonstrated its capabilities. Follow the link in the comments. You don't have to subscribe to the channel. You can skip all the useful videos and I will continue to release them several times a month, but without you, well, if it was useful, then put a fat like and do the opposite.